Hi, grade one. I am back again for part two of talking about animal research. And it might seem like I'm talking a lot about this, but if we were in class with you, we would be talking a lot about this. And we would be going over each day what we expect to see, the amount of work and how long we would expect for this to take. And we would be giving you feedback on the types of things we want to see with your research. So that's why I'm here talking again, because there's more things that I want to tell you. Last week, I did show you a couple different samples. Well, not even last week. In my last video, I showed you a couple different samples in the information about starting your research project that you might want to use. And one of them was this one. And I told you that I would be showing you a completed one. Now, this is one that I did about hedgehogs. So in the animal part, I tried to do my little bubble letters about a hedgehog, and I put kind of a little bit of what their habitat might look like. What I look like, here's my hedgehog that I drew the best I could, looking realistic, not super cartoony. I think I even used Art Hub for Kids, which lots of you love. In this section, it says where I live, and you can see I've tried to do my tidiest printing and sentences, and here this one's an actual list of the different topics. So, where I live, they can live in forests, deserts, suburban gardens. And we've talked about rural and suburban. So, Lethbridge is suburban. We could find hedgehogs in different habitats close to like where we live. They like to make burrows and nests. Now, they're also called hedgehogs because they like to dig and hedge inside like different types of shrubs. That's another fact. I didn't use that fact, though. What I eat. Hedgehogs eat small creatures such as insects, worms, centipedes, snails, mice, frogs, and snakes. I did draw a snake and a snail and a mouse. I haven't colored them yet, but that would be a good idea to add more detail to my work. Fact 1. Hedgehogs coat their spines with their spit to poison predators. So it's not necessarily super poisonous, but it could harm them. Fact 2, do not feed hedgehogs milk. It upsets their stomach. And fact 3, hedgehogs can sleep up to 18 hours a day. Now, there was way more facts and lots of other things I could have put, but this template doesn't have as much room for all of those interesting facts. This one's kind of like a shorter one. If you were to try this one to start, I would suggest you do more than one animal. Or maybe you might want to add even more information on the back, because this one's probably the most simple out of the animal research. It would take you the least amount of time. So this could even be a good place to start planning. Or you could do a number of animals and maybe even create an animal research duotang or a research book that you end up stapling together about a lot of different animals, if this is the way that you wanted to go, to challenge yourself to do more than just one. Okay? Because one of the things I wanted to talk about today was take your time. Doing research at school and in class together, we would likely use a template much like this one, where I talked about how you would pick the animal. So if I was doing hedgehogs, all about hedgehogs, draw my hedgehog by Miss Craddock, do all of my super detail. The next page was the table of contents. Now, I did do a sample of appearance. So appearance is page 1. If I go to my first page, there it is, appearance of my hedgehog. Now, I have taken up all the space. I've used the colors that are realistically on a hedgehog. From my research, I found out what colors it would be. I have filled up the page with my information. I've done tidy printing. I've left spaces. I used capitals and periods. I've read over my work to be sure it made sense. This would get me in that 3 to 4 mark that we talked about with our rubric. Hedgehogs can be many different colors. They can be white, black, and shades of brown. They have black and brown markings on their face as well. They have short and rough textured fur, not spines like a porcupine. So that's important. Lots of people might think they might be like pokey like a porcupine, but it's just very rough textured fur. And then even on here, I did label rough fur. So that would be a sample of what we'd be expecting to see inside this report. Then in my table of contents, I would go back and my page 2 would then be habitat. Where do they live? Where can I find them? Now I know they live in lots of different places. Maybe I'm going to separate this box and show and label all the different places they could live. Deserts, suburban homes, that they like to build burrows and nests. There are so many different ways you can do this. When we talk about how long this should take you, this is not a project that you are going to sit down and finish in 1 or 2 days. This is something you could be working on for an entire week, maybe even 2. Maybe you do 1 page a day for your research, and maybe that day you're just figuring out the appearance of your animal or what food they eat or where they live, and that's your job for writing and research for that day for your animal, okay? Now, it doesn't have to just be paper way, okay? So there's this way, and I've shown you my sample of the appearance of my hedgehog here for the report. Some of us really love to do things. I'm a paper person. I love to draw. I like to put pens and pencils to paper. But I'm also a little bit techie too. Like, I'm learning how to be better at that. And maybe if that works best for your family, you might try and make a Google slide presentation all about your animal, or a PowerPoint presentation all about your animal, where you're putting in all of the same things that would have been in your report, but you're creating a slideshow about it. We'd love for you to send that to us. That can be emailed to us. We would love, love, love to see what you've got. Maybe you're going to do both. Maybe you're just a researcher extraordinaire. And I would just use the same types of things that we've got in our report. So where do they eat? Where do they live? Who are their predators? How do they stay safe? What kinds of adaptations do they have? All about the babies, any interesting facts. Those are all things that could go into your slideshow. Even if you drew a picture, you can do that digitally and pop that in there too. There are so many options. One other thing that I wanted to mention is a diorama. And there is a little PowerPoint presentation in this week's Week at a Glance over on this side. And if you click on it, it will show you what a diorama is, how you can get started on one. And I would probably do this after you've done some research on your animal, because then you know a lot about their appearance and their habitat, so you can create your best diorama. A diorama is kind of like opening up a little box or cardboard, even a shoe box, sometimes those mini pizza boxes. We've had pizza places before, like, even donate them, or if you ask, can I have one small pizza box, they might give it to you or sell it to you for really cheap. If you've just got cardboard or paper at home, that would do the trick too from your recycle. But then it's creating with scrap paper, construction paper, plasticine, Play-Doh, whatever you have at home. Maybe you've got little Lego Playmobil figures, little people figures that could fit into your diorama that would show the actual habitat of where your animal lives. Is it snowy? You could use cotton balls to create the snow. Is it deserty? What could you do? Maybe sandpaper to make it look like it's sand. What kinds of things does it eat? Can you make and put those things into your diorama? And then it's like a 3D real view of your animal's habitat, plus creating your animal probably out of plasticine and Play-Doh and putting them into that cool diorama scene. I know that is something so many of you would love to do. It's super creative. Take a picture, send it to us. We would love to see. There's some awesome samples in that PowerPoint presentation. But I just really wanted to talk to you today about taking your time, about showing your best detailed, colorful, tidy work that's really going to show us that you're pushing yourself to take your time and show us how much you've grown as a writer and a reader and a researcher. And also, if you're interested in the tech side of things with a Google slideshow or a PowerPoint slideshow, we'd love to see that. All right, so much more information about your animal research. Biggest thing is just have fun with it. Have fun. We are so excited to see what animals you pick. You're creative, awesome, bright students, and we can't wait to see what you do. Have fun.